Welcome to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with Rebecca Hall Gruyter. In our program each week, we provide the tools, ideas, and encouragement to help you move ahead on your journey, becoming a more powerful and impactful woman in your own life. Now here's your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day, a powerful day. I feel like even during these challenging times, we can choose to have a powerful day. We can look for the positive. We can look for that silver lining. And so I hope today that you're choosing to look powerfully out in the world, looking for that silver lining and choosing to show up in everything powerfully and purposely. I am so honored and thrilled to be connecting in with you, having this opportunity for us to connect in a real way and support one another during these times. And I always like to focus on, in April anyway, about focusing on overcoming challenges. And how do we not just survive them, but thrive in them? How can we become better and stronger and more on purpose because of the challenge we're facing? And I feel like the timing for this particular subject is so needed right now. It's so important. The timing is perfect for this. So I'm really honored to be connecting in with you during a challenging time. And it's so important in these times that we remember to connect in, that we're very mindful of what we are allowing to pour into us, that it's information or music or programs or shows that are going to support us and empower us and help us live on purpose and with great purpose. And we appreciate you bringing your heart, your spirit, your energies we connect in. And I want you to get the most out of our time together today, because I know there is something here for you by the very nature that you're tuning in. So in order to get the most out of our time together today, I want to invite you to choose to be present, not just in body, but mind, body, soul, and spirit, really bringing all of you into this conversation, all of you fully present to hear and receive everything that is here for you today. So let's take a moment, take a breath as we connect in. Beautiful. Just feel that connection, heart to heart. And I want you to think about this past week. Think about the time next week coming up ahead, and think about today. Things that you are experiencing, thinking, processing, stretching in, how you're seeing people show up in these challenging times. And I'm noticing a few things. I notice some people showing up in these incredible ways, going above and beyond to connect, to serve, and to support. Some organizations and companies are using this as an opportunity to pivot. That's the phrase they've been saying, that they're like, it's now time to shift and bring forward some of these things that have been on the back burner, some of these things we've been talking about doing. Now is the time to bring them forward. And there's a sense of urgency to that. Others are growing and stretching and finding new ways to connect with people, to lift each other up. And then there are some that are contracting and shrinking back a little bit. And I want us to be sensitive to all of these and be supportive of all of them. At times we do contract, and I think that's a great time to align and not continue the contraction forever, but listen to what is being shared with us. What is it that we need? What is it that can support us now that we are allowing ourselves time to process and take a little bit different perspective on things? How do we want to move forward? Those of us who are pivoting, that are stretching out, that are looking at making a difference in new ways, remembering to be extra kind to yourself as you're stretching and growing and trying new things. I feel like it's really important that we reach out to each other more, support each other more, that we are kind and present and loving and extending grace to others as well as to ourselves during these times, knowing that together we can achieve amazing things and we can be powerful even in these challenging times. So let's take a moment as we're breathing in through our nose, out through our mouth, like through a straw. Go ahead and close your eyes. You're safe. Keep breathing. See how big you can make your belly. And as your eyes are closed, go ahead and put one hand on your heart, one hand on your head, bringing you all in, mind, body, soul, and spirit as you breathe. This kind of breathing in 30 seconds, a minute, brings you oxygen to every cell in your body. It lowers your cortisol levels, which is stress levels, so it helps you become fully present. When we're fully present, we have oxygen flowing through our body. We have clearer thinking. We're able to make more powerful choices and choose how we respond versus be in reactionary mode or autopilot. So as you're breathing, reflecting on this past week and today and looking ahead, what is it that you need? What is it that will encourage you, empower you, uplift you? What do you need to support you on your journey? And I'm going to add to this. What is it that you need and are willing to receive? Because you have choice. We're not asking how. We're not attached to the how. We're identifying, having clarity around what it is that you need and are willing to receive. Beautiful. Receive that information. Let's go ahead and take a breath. Come back into the room. Eyes open, fully present, and let's take a moment to write down what was laid on your heart, what it is that you need and are willing to receive. And writing it down helps co-create it, helps bring it forward, helps you keep it top of mind. It's so easy to get distracted and forget what we need and can miss it sometimes when it might be right in front of us. And as you're writing that, our mind likes to go so quickly to how. Well, how is this going to happen? How is this need going to be met? I want to invite you to take a breath and actually look forward to being excited and surprised at the wonderful and unexpected way this need will be met. Be open to being surprised. Look forward with anticipation as to how this need will be met. Beautiful. We're going to go around our virtual room here as we connect in on a heart level with our amazing guests, and they share from their heart 30 seconds, 15 seconds, what was laid on it when they took a moment to stop, pause, connect in, and listen. So with that, Lanice, I'd love for you to share.
Thank you so much. Just as I was taking a moment and being present in the moment, I really realized how often I'm not present, how often I just am on autopilot, and how grateful I am for this moment, how grateful I am to have the opportunity to breathe, to have the opportunity to be able to think about the things that I'm thankful for. And so I'm really, one word that stood out to me in this moment is awareness. Just being aware of my surroundings and aware of myself.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think that is frequent for all of us. We're so good at doing and being in motion and staying, sometimes even in autopilot, just going, but remembering to stop and pause and listen and connect and be aware. I love that awareness. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And absolutely. And Catherine, how about you? What was laid on your heart?
Well, I received the wonderful message that one of the biggest barriers that I face, as well as many, is always not enough time to focus on our passions. and that right now is a gift of time, that we most of us are having more time than ever because so many distractions are been taken away. The gift is what is spoken on. So that's my message. God.
No, I love that. And I love how you're seeing this, because that is one of our biggest barriers. One of the things that can limit us so often is I don't have time. There's not enough time. And having our normal patterns disrupted. And there has been a lot of time that has been created for a lot of people. And so now we can choose how we use that time. I think that's really beautiful to remember that and look at that and treasure that opportunity to have that time.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, listeners, what was laid on your heart? I know for me, I was really thinking and feeling how important it is to be grateful for what we have and the opportunities we have, even that we have this opportunity to connect like this. I'm very grateful for and humbled by and appreciate that we can connect in this space in different parts of the country, different parts of the world. We can still come together beautifully and powerfully, and I'm grateful for that. As we get ready to go into our first commercial break, I want to encourage you to use this time, speaking of time, to take a breath, to go deeper and really listen to what is being placed on your heart and your spirit. And we'll continue our conversation in just a moment.
What's happening on the Voice America Talk Radio Network by keeping up with us on Twitter. You can find us at Voice America TRN. Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Think you've seen everything there is to see in online television? Let us surprise you. Visit voiceamerica.tv today for sports, health, business, and more on demand 24/7.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Greider. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed that time, that you gave yourself the opportunity to pause and breathe and really listen to what is being spoken into your heart and into your spirit. It's so interesting and powerful, the insights we can get when we slow down a little bit to hear that quiet voice and what is being shared with us, what it is that we need, and having that awareness so that when we go forward, we're able to do so in a more powerful and purposeful way. We'll give you opportunities throughout the show to be able to breathe and pause and integrate. And this helps you catch up with yourself and really hear and receive what can serve you, but it also gives you a chance to process it on a cellular level so it becomes part of you. Versus something added to the to-do list, the someday list, it actually becomes part of you and you're able to incorporate it into your life. So use those moments that we provide to powerfully serve you. Welcome back. We've been talking about how to really purposely and powerfully show up in challenging times. How can we have them serve us so that we are able to not just survive, but thrive powerfully and purposely? And that's what we're talking about today. We are very honored to have two amazing guests that are supporting us in the conversation. I wanted to more formally introduce one of them right now. You got to meet them on a heart level in our opening segment. But let me introduce you more formally to Lanice McKee. She is a district director for the Department of Workforce Development in 2 different counties. She has over 16 years experience working in this way in the workforce development to support you powerfully. She's a bachelor's in sociology, a master's in human services. She is the founder of Future Entrepreneurs Moving Ahead, as well as the founder of Big, Beautiful, and Blessed. She is passionate about helping you create an impact in the world that makes a positive difference. Please lean in and warmly welcome the powerful Lanice McKee to the show. Welcome.
Ooh, thank you. Wow. Thank you so much, Rebecca. I'm so excited to be on the show.
You are so welcome. I'm thrilled to have you here, excited, and I love the opportunity to celebrate and welcome you grandly to the show. I hope you felt that my hands were raised as we welcomed you to the stage.
I did. So thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. See, we can have those connections across the country and around the world.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'd love to start our conversation with why. Why is this concept of making an impact so powerfully important to you?
That is a great question. I think it's extremely important to make an impact. And this goes for anyone, no matter what you feel you're called to. I think that when we make an impact, that not only do we impact those we feel we are called to, but we impact ourselves and our own lives. And it's a way to find fulfillment outside of just our everyday normal things that we may do. And so leaving an impact is a way that we leave our legacy. And I believe a legacy is not something that you leave for people, but something you leave in people. So by leaving that impact, you leave something that they can also leave for their family and friends. You really can transform people's lives.
Thank you for sharing that. And I feel like this ripple effect happens with that impact, as you were talking about the different people that can be affected powerfully in our life. Mm-hmm. And it's important that we're choosing how we're showing up and how we're having that impact. I firmly believe if they can't see you, if they can't hear you, if they don't know you exist, we can't help them. So making that impact, being willing to step forward is so important, especially during these times. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, and just really staying focused on what's important to you, because sometimes we can get lost in the noise of the world. But if you really silence that and listen to the voice inside of you, and then you move towards that, that's how you find what your impact will be. And do that. So I personally love to help people connect to employment, or love to help people connect to their passion. And through doing that, I'm leaving an impact. So what is it that you're called to? And that's how you can then leave an impact, moving towards that calling that you have within your heart.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, and that's great wisdom and advice for all of that. And I thank you for all that you're doing in the area of workforce development and helping people with those connections. So thank you for the work that you do.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't feel like work.
No, I think it's beautiful. And I'd love for you to share during these challenging times, I know that you've talked about finding what matters to you and connecting in and tying those together. Do you have some tips or pieces of advice you can give us when we're facing challenging times? How do we show up in a way that we can really have that impact in hopefully a positive way? Because we can have an impact, but hopefully in a positive way. What advice can you share with us? What wisdom to support us in that?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about really like even what's going on right now, you can't show up for anyone if you haven't shown up for yourself. And so the first thing I think that we all need to do is be aware of how we're feeling, acknowledge that, deal with that, be present with that so that I can deal with, for myself, let me see what is going on with me. How am I feeling about this? How do I want to deal with this? And therefore, when I deal with myself, therefore, I then can deal and impact and help others. But if we bury how we feel, if we don't address that, we then cannot be healthy and whole to be able to help and address other people. So the first step is just being aware of yourself, being aware of what you feel. So that's number one. And then once you do that, then you can make a game plan on how can I help other people, how can I overcome the challenges that I'm dealing with, and therefore, and this is so important, if you're having a challenge in some way, I guarantee you someone else somewhere is having that same challenge. So if you figure out how to overcome that and you share that information, somebody is very grateful for that.
So important to remember. And it reminds me, we're not alone in any of this, or the challenges, but remembering that facing that, overcoming, and then sharing helps others along the way too. And I love this concept of overcomer. So in overcoming, how do you define that? Just so we're all on the same page, how do you define being an overcomer?
So basically, having a challenge that you face and deciding that the challenge did not define you. So whatever that is, that challenge didn't define you, and maybe it helped shape you. And in the end, whatever that challenge is that may at the beginning seem like, oh my goodness, I'm not going to make it through. But at the end, not only did you make it through, you came out better. You learned from it. You grew from it. And now you're even able to share from it. So I think in aspects of all of our lives, we are overcomers. It's all in how we view it in our perspective. And so I think that situations can definitely shape us and make us become overcomers.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I love how you shared it does not define us, but that we can go deeper, we can overcome, we can choose what matters and bring those things forward. And I love this, then remembering to share the wisdom, the insight, and learned what you've learned on the journey so that others can overcome too, is really, really important, especially when we can sometimes feel isolated or we're not connecting with people in the way that we're used to connecting, remembering that it really matters and we're not alone. Beautiful. So looking back on our conversation today and kind of looking ahead, what are some tips or a piece of advice that you want to add to the conversation?
In moving forward, I think it's something that you touched on, the importance of our voice. A lot of times people do feel isolated. People may feel like they're alone, but there's so much power in our voice. And the fact that whether you decide to share that vocally, whether you decide to share that through writing, however you share that, your story matters. And because you share that, someone else can read that, someone else can hear that, and they too now can feel like, oh, I can be an overcomer, or I'm not alone, or somebody else understands me. Sometimes we just want to know that somebody understands, or somebody else can relate. And that piece alone can help us move through those things. So I just want to really share the importance and the power and the impact that your voice has, especially in challenging times that we're dealing with now. And so I encourage everyone to share your voice, whether you're doing it through social media, whether you decide to write a letter, go old-fashioned and mail it out to people. However you're choosing to show up and share your story because your story matters.
Beautiful. And I'm just letting everybody soak that in, that show up, share your voice, share your story. It matters. Initiate those connections. Don't wait for someone to reach out to you. You can initiate those connections and that sharing. As we're getting ready to go to our next commercial break, Lanice, I would love to invite you to give them something to reflect on about tapping into their story as we go to our next commercial break. Do you mind leading them in just a couple of points that they can reflect on?
Yes. One thing I encourage everyone to do is take ownership of your story. There is no shame in your story, even if you feel like, oh, this happened and it wasn't the best. The thing about it is that you grew from it, you overcame, and you're still here. And no situation has to be your final destination. You have the power to rewrite your story at any moment that you decide to. And so I encourage you to own your story, to own your truth, and live in it every single moment. Thank you again for this opportunity to share.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your heart, your wisdom, and your insight. And I love that no situation has to be your destination, that we can overcome, and together we can help each other overcome powerfully.
Yeah.
As we go to our next commercial break, I want to encourage you to use these 2 minutes for you. Really think about the wisdom and the information Lanice shared and was placed on your heart. Take a couple moments, jot down some thoughts and notes and part of your story that is speaking to you. Perhaps you're being prompted to reach out to someone and share. Write those things down so that you can move into action starting today on these things. Enjoy these 2 minutes, and we'll look forward to talking to you in just a moment.
What's happening on the Voice America Talk Radio Network by keeping up with us on Twitter. You can find us at Voice America TRN. Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Think you've seen everything there is to see in online television? Let us surprise you. Visit voiceamerica.tv today for sports, health, business, and more on demand 24/7.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Greider. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed those 2 minutes, that it gave you an opportunity to stop and pause and reflect in and see what's being laid on your heart. See what perhaps part of your story you're wanting to share, to look at, to bring forward. perhaps there's a situation where you were looking or we were looking at as a final destination that isn't a final destination, that we can change the story, we can overcome, we can move forward in powerful and positive ways. I'm excited to introduce our next amazing guest who specializes in really helping us tap into our life purpose. So let me introduce her. Her name is Catherine Andres. She is a veteran teacher. She is an author of 5 books. That's 5 books, a speaker, and a life purpose coach. She's been helping people in these ways for over 20 years. She's the creator of her own cable TV show and hosts a weekly radio show that's released on multiple platforms. She is passionate about empowering you to find your unique voice and purpose. Please lean in and warmly welcome the powerful, purpose-driven Catherine Andres to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
You are so welcome. Thrilled to have you joining us and looking forward to tapping into our life purpose. So I really appreciate you adding to the conversation today. Before we get into that, though, I'd like to know a little bit about why. Why is the work of helping people tap into their life purpose and to their voice? Why is that work so important to you?
Well, I feel it's the ultimate reason why we're here. And so if we can figure out and unlock the purpose for being here, we're going to have such an amazing life experience. You know, there's so many distractions out in the world. We may think we're here to, buy a house or have this great job or whatever we think in our conscious mind. But ultimately, the soul, the real part of ourselves, came here to fulfill a particular mission. And so that's at the core of why we're here. And that's why I feel it's so important to get people in touch with that.
Beautiful. And I can hear your passion and your conviction of this truth and desire to help us really tap into that. So thank you. Thank you for sharing. I feel like that's your purpose is to help us.
Yes.
In this way. So that's beautiful. Oh, if we can share a little bit of what that means, what does it mean and why is it important to align with our life purpose? Do you mind sharing that and expanding on that a little bit for us, just so we're all on the same page with what we're talking about when we say life purpose?
Sure. So the way I look at life purpose is there's 2 parts to it. One is understanding what are our unique gifts and talents that we need to develop and share with the world. That's the first part. And then the second part of the purpose that we're here is to figure out what are the areas that we're challenged with or the areas where we lack experience. And we need to add that to ourselves. So whatever lesson or area in life that we're a bit inexperienced with, we're here to learn that. That's the challenge. So when we put those 2 together, the third thing that emerges is the necessity of relationships, right? Because we can't share our gifts if we don't have relationships with people. And we know that people are the ones that are going to trigger us, usually, to learn our life lessons. And so relationships is intertwined with our life purpose. And so the purpose does change over time. You know, the lessons we learned when we were 12 hopefully aren't the same ones we're going to be working on when we're 40 or 50.
Yes.
But the umbrella of gifts and talents and challenges and mixing it in with relationships is a constant throughout our life.
And so powerful to be able to approach all of that with awareness and purpose versus being an autopilot or wondering why these challenges are coming or wondering what to do with them. I love that there's this tapping into those lessons, tapping into our purpose, and that it's in relation to others, I think is really important to remember, because sometimes we try to go into isolation and that they're an important part of that in our growth and tapping into our purpose and making a difference, that it does involve others. So remembering to bring on those connections. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing a little bit about what goes into life purpose and why that's important. And I do hope that we are all learning different lessons than we learned. So hopefully we learned them when we were 12 as we continue to grow. So Speaking of all of that, when we are in these challenging times where our normal ways of doing things and perhaps the patterns and rhythm that we had has been disrupted and now is being adjusted and set a little bit differently as we're evolving in that, how can we approach that in a way that is positive and powerful and supportive of us and our life purpose?
Well, yes, one of the things that I shared after the beginning meditation was the gift for a lot of people in this is that it's the need to isolate has taken away a lot of these distracting outer activities that we do so that we can really focus in on our life purpose, do what's important, and maybe have more reflection time to ask ourselves, what am I really here to do? Is what I'm doing, just a waste of my time, or is it really part of what I came here for? And the other part of the gift of all this, I think, is there's this huge fear of, oh my gosh, if I get this virus, will I die? Death is looking at a lot of people in the eyes and they're scared about it. And what I tell people is, what? Your soul is so powerful that it can overcome anything. If you are on purpose and you're learning and you're adding to the world, your soul's like, it doesn't matter if there's a hurricane outside. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to figure out a way to be here. So there's no need to fear these outer things. If you're on track with your purpose, that's all you need to worry about. You will be safe.
Beautiful. Well, and I love that we can go deeper. We can focus in on something powerful and positive and purpose-driven, no matter what the challenges are that we are facing around us, how important that is. So as we have been giving people time to reflect today and process and take things in, what are a couple of reflection points or questions you would encourage someone to think about now that they have some time to focus in on and refer to as they're facing these times so they can tap a little bit more into their purpose?
Well, I think one of the big tools that we can really be using right now is our intuition. So the more in touch we are with our intuition, you can call it the inner voice, your subconscious, there's a lot of different names for it. But it's that little subtle voice, that nudging that we feel. The more in tune we are with that, first of all, the more we will be in tune with our purpose because we will get the answers what we're supposed to be doing. But second of all, in this world where it's difficult to sift through the fact versus the fiction, right? We're living in this world of, ultimate reality with all the media. And how do we sift through what is true? And so many of the people who are tuned into their intuition are saying, I'm feeling, there's something not right here. And so this is an opportunity for us to tune into the intuition and see for yourself with what you're hearing going on in the world, is this true to you? Is this fiction? So for ourselves as well as globally, I think is one of the key tools right now that we can pull out of our toolbox to use.
Beautiful. And really developing a powerful relationship and trusted relationship with our intuition, with the guidance and the wisdom and the direction that we're getting is really important and will help us sort through what is true, what is right, what is needed information for each of us as we are going forward. And one of the things you talked about in purpose was this relationship to others, how that's something that's woven in and out of our life purpose and in the lessons that we are here to learn and we are here to share and build. What's a way that we can connect into our relationships in a powerful and positive way that might be a little bit different than we're used to connecting in with them?
Sure.
There's some opportunities we have there.
Yes, well, as most of us are at home now, this is a great opportunity to tune into our family relationships. I always teach that whatever family you were born into, your soul knew that it was going to spend about 18 years with those people. And we know if we don't learn our lessons with our parents or siblings, we will end up meeting them elsewhere, right? We'll either marry somebody that was like our mom and dad or have a boss that was like our brother that we could never work through our challenges with. So now that we're so close to family, we can really work on those ties and say, why did I choose this person to be in my life? And when we get those answers, we can really find the purpose of that relationship. Because I think I know that every relationship we're in has a purpose. Mm-hmm. And in order to fulfill that purpose, we have to know what it is. And so that takes just time and reflection. And then we can really soar, because relationships can either be a stumbling block, like if we get stuck in a lesson that we can't learn and we just sit there for years and years and years fighting with the person, we get stuck. Or if we learn the lesson and use that lesson in our life, then the relationship propels us forward on our life purpose.
Beautiful. And do you have some tips on that? Particularly if it's challenging, we might be in closer quarters than we're used to. What are some ways that we can allow ourselves processing time and to show up in those situations, in those relationships, a little bit more on purpose than reactionary?
So a great communication exercise that I would suggest is to set a timer for 10 minutes and sit with the person you may be having a conflict with, or maybe not even a conflict. Maybe it's just something you want to talk with about this person. And when you set the timer for 10 minutes, the first person gets to speak without the other person interrupting until the buzzer rings. And then you switch and you give the other person 10 minutes to talk. And so what that does is it allows the one person to speak without fearing of being interrupted. And then the other person will actually have time to pause and reflect before they respond, because so much of what we do is not being in the present moment and responding to what's at hand. We're using files from the past and just triggering our responses. So that's one suggestion. And then the second one is to make a list of things that bother you in somebody else if you're having a conflict. And then what I want to offer is, rather than looking outside at that person and trying to change them, look within and see what do those things that you wrote down on your list show about you? Because relationships are always a reflection of us.
Beautiful. Thank you. So really great tips on helping us grow in our relationships, grow in our communication. We have this wonderful opportunity as we are developing new rhythms. We have a little bit more time, a little bit different ways that we can connect, and more intimate containers, in a sense, that we are in to work on these things. And so it's a wonderful opportunity to do that. Those are great suggestions. I appreciate you sharing. Any final tips before we go to our next commercial break?
I would say we do have power. Right now, a lot of people feel powerless, right? They're, have a lot of their civil liberties taken away. They're stuck inside. But the point is that we know that thought is cause. And so this is an opportunity, right? We're given lemons. Are we going to make lemonade out of this, or what are we going to do? And so we do have power how we respond to this global situation, and to know that there are answers out there. And if you're not getting them from traditional media, again, go within. There are many people out there offering alternative therapies, healing methods, and there are always answers. The first thing is to ask.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Remembering that we are not powerless. We do have choice. There are ways that we can step forward and find information and choose how we respond to situations like this, and choose to connect, and especially connect in deeper to our purpose and get clarity in that even. So thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
And listeners, as we get ready to go to our next commercial break, I want to encourage you to think about the things that Catherine has shared with you, and take an opportunity to go deeper. Take a breath. Write down a couple of things that are supportive of you. Maybe you want to implement one of those exercises. We look forward to talking to you in just 2 minutes.
What's happening on the Voice America Talk Radio Network by keeping up with us on Twitter. You can find us at Voice America TRN. Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Think you've seen everything there is to see in online television? Let us surprise you. Visit voiceamerica.tv today for sports, health, business, and more on demand 24/7.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Greider. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes, that opportunity to connect in with yourself, to pause, and even catch up with yourself and your thoughts and your purpose. Especially as we're facing challenging times, are we looking at these as an opportunity to make lemonade? Are we looking at these times as an opportunity to grow? To face the challenge, to discover more things about ourselves, to go deeper, to choose to still make a positive difference, to tap into our power. What are we choosing to do as we get ready to go back out into the world? I'm going to invite you, as we come to the close of our show here in just a few minutes, to take a couple minutes after the end of the show and really take a breath, pause, see what's being spoken into your heart and spirit. Give yourself 2 more minutes just for you, and then choose how you're going to move forward this day. Choose how you are going to be and you want to be now going forward. Be very aware and very purposeful. I've had a quote on my heart lately that I wanted to share with you today, and this is by Henry Ford. And it's, when everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane takes off against the wind, not with it. So we have an opportunity to have these challenges actually lift us up, an opportunity for us to go deeper, to tap into our strengths, to overcome. As Lenise was sharing, we have an opportunity to reach out to others and share, to build those connections, tap more into our purpose, to choose consciously and purposely how we are spending our time, especially as our normal patterns have been disrupted. What are the new patterns? What's the new rhythm we are putting into place? We have some amazing opportunities right now, even as we are facing these challenges, and I encourage you to tap into them. And I wanted to give you an opportunity to be able to connect with our amazing guests on a deeper level. So I'm going to have them each share their contact information so you can continue a conversation with them. You can continue to connect and follow them. And so with that, Lenise, I'd love for you to share how people can go deeper, how they can connect in with you.
Yes, thank you so much. The best way to connect with me is through any social media platform via Facebook, LinkedIn, or even Twitter. And you can find me at Lenise McGee. And I'll come up that way. So that's just Lenise, L-A-N-E-I-C-E, McGee. And you'll be able to connect directly with me through any of those platforms.
Perfect.
Or my
Thank you
website
so
as well is www.lenisemcgee.com.
Perfect. There's a common theme there. Perfect. Thank you. That makes it easy to find you. I love that. Beautiful. And then, Catherine, how about you? How can people go deeper and connect in with you?
Sure, they can go to our website, which is intuitiveschool.com. And right there on the first page, there is a free life purpose guidebook to help people now. You can also find me info@intuitiveschool.com, or same as Lenise, all the social media platforms, Catherine Andries, that's KathrynAndries.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing and for making that tool available. I appreciate that, and I know our listeners will as well. And listeners, I want to thank you each for joining in, connecting, spending time with us today. And I encourage you to get ready to go back out into the world, to navigate these waters with purpose, to remember how you show up, how you choose to be really matters. You have an opportunity to choose every day as you're setting new patterns, new rhythms, to live on purpose and with purpose. And I believe you were in fact made for such a time as this, that your gifts are needed. The way you're made is needed. And I want to encourage you to be willing to share the gift of you a little bit more. Be proactive in sharing out, initiating those connections, sharing your light with the world. Be willing to shine. So no matter what comes, you choose to bloom where you are planted and shine. Have an amazing week, everyone. I'll look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you for joining us this week for Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. Please tune in again for another edition with your host, Rebecca Hall-Gruyter, next Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Influencers channel. And join us for a replay of the show every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Empowerment channel. Have a beautiful week, and may you always bloom where you're planted and shine.